All right, Nadia, now that we are ready to roll, we have to go through a procedure called load and make ready.
Okay.
It does not mean load and shoot. Kind of a big deal.
Yeah. Okay.
Load and make ready is literally, we're going to load the gun and make both you and it ready for whatever would be coming next.
Gotcha.
All right? It is the set the stage, set the table, get comfortable, get seated, and get ready for the main meal experience. All right?
Sounds good.
So here's the procedure. First thing you're going to do is observe how the guns are laid out on the bench. We're both right-handed.
Yep.
So we have the firearm with the slide locked open so that you can see without anybody having to come over and touch your gun to confirm that it is empty. So when the gun is on the bench, we want chamber up, slide lock back. Everyone can see without going on, hands on. The next thing is, because we're right-handed shooters, we're going to put the magazine on the left side of the gun. So it's ready for that hand to pick up and put down comfortably without having to fumble around.
Okay.
Right? I like to put it down so that the follower is the squishy part right here. There's
The followers.
The squishy.
Ah,
That's the technical term, but it's the
Squishy.
follower. It's the
Okay.
squishy, right? So that the tip of your finger finds the follower, which is where the round nose of the bullet would be. So we want to make sure that it is pointed towards your hand, therefore away from the gun on the bench.
Okay.
Makes it easy to pick up when it's time to insert and seat.
Gotcha.
Okay. So now that the gun is set up, now we got to get ourselves set up. So show me your best, like, come at me, bro, stance. It's hilarious, and you're not wrong. But it's fun. So the reality for this is we want to make sure your feet are where they belong.
Okay.
And you're comfortable so that you're not fidgety around, because nothing's more makes me nervous than seeing people squirrely on the range. So get your footing where you want it. Get comfortable. Set your stance up.
Yeah.
The gun is set. Let's get you set before we even touch it.
Gotcha.
So now what we're going to do is learn how to safely pick up the firearm and prepare it to have the magazine inserted.
Okay.
So here's the way this works. We move our bodies around the gun, not the gun around our bodies.
Okay.
And we got to give this cutie pie a job so it doesn't misbehave. Again, adorable, not the brightest light.
Brightest.
Okay? So somewhere between where the trigger is in the front of the trigger guard, on the frame area, is where you're going to put the pad of that finger.
Okay.
We're going to give it an anchor point, a tactile reference point. So the first thing we're going to do is a straight trigger finger touch high on the frame. Then your thumb is going to curl under, and these three fingers together, glued together, are going to pull the gun into your palm. You're then going to levitate. You're going to rotate your elbow below, going palm up, about 45 degrees. And you're going to bring your elbow to your hip. Now, what's important here is that you don't go floppy fish. That's not good. And you're not all tight and, people get nervous.
Right.
You're comfortably anchored to you and at a nice 45-degree angle.
And your wrist is like semi-locked here?
Yeah, comfortable.
Okay.
The next thing to note is that the mag well should never cross the line of your belly button. Because as soon as you cross that spot, the muzzle would then be going from here to here, and that is no longer in a safe direction. Okay, so with a straight finger, we levitate, rotate, anchor to us. Good, and then we can scoop the magazine. So here's the scolding fingers. If you can scold the dog, sits, all that stuff, you can pick up a magazine because it's the same hand position and motion. So with a straight finger, we're going to scoop the magazine into our palm. See how it perfectly falls in there?
It does.
The tip of our finger falls right on the top of the follower. On the squishy. And then you have the base of the magazine high in your palm.
Yeah.
Your thumb and three fingers are gripping low on the mag, which will allow you to, without moving the gun, point to the mag well, open your hand up, and seat with your palm. Okay? Now let's remove the magazine and we'll try it again. So I will make a basket underneath so that my left-hand thumb can reach up and give it a push, and then you can strip the magazine out. All right? So let's put the magazine down, and then we'll scoop, insert, and seat again. Orient, point, and seat. Now you want to be a little assertive with it, authoritative, right? Because what we don't want to do is this. It's not. This just sounds wrong.
It just doesn't feel right.
No, it doesn't. We really need to make sure the magazine is seated properly, because it is possible to chamber around, but then this magazine, if it's not all the way clicked in, will fall out the bottom of the mag. And it's just embarrassing. We don't need that in our life. So let's point and seat.
point, and seat.
Now we have gas in the tank, we need fuel in the lights.
Ooh,
all right?
okay.
So make sure we don't start crossing our body. Keep that firearm straight.
Okay.
Now we have some options. We're going to utilize the slide release as one of the options. Now, note that in dry fire, we will not be able to rack the slide to chamber the round.
Okay.
And that is not a bad thing. That's how you know for sure that the firearm is empty.
Yes.
Because the slide will lock back on an empty magazine.
Yes.
So if I were to attempt to rack the slide now, it would not go forward because that is what is happening. We've got an empty gun. So the technique we're going to utilize is the slide release, which is this bar right here, that bar. Okay.
Gotcha.
We've got a couple of options to do this. Your strong hand or firing hand thumb can claw up over and push straight down to the floor.
Ooh, that was assertive. All right. Okay.
Satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know, let's try it.
It was.
Ready? We're going to try this now. Reach over the top, thumb to you. You're going to C-clamp over. Rip that palm back to rack it. All right, now let's try another option. If this thumb just does not have the manual dexterity, you got two. So we can try depressing that slide release with your support hand thumb. The best way to do this is to keep your 4 fingers together. You're going to come up tight against your 3 digits, right underneath that trigger guard. You're going to keep a high elbow. Your right hand thumb or firing hand thumb is going to go straight high, flag straight high. Your left hand thumb is going to get on top. You can stack them now, and together they can push straight down. Right?
Nice.
Now the nice thing about this is all you have to do now is roll that thumb forward and slide into your grip.
Gets you ready for the grip. Nice.
Yep. Make sure we're not squishing that thumb. That looks good. So now we have the firearm loaded, and we are at what's called compressed ready position, which is chicken wings or elbows to ribs.
Chicken wings.
I know. I'm motivated by food, so that's how it works, right? Elbows to ribs.
Yes.
And you'll notice that the muzzle isn't low, it isn't high, it is parallel with the bench.
Yes.
And this is important, again, because safe direction. So if you are on the range or in a class and an instructor says load and make ready, this is the procedure by which we would do that.
Okay.
Right? You would be resting at whatever ready position they dictate, but in an indoor range, it's going to probably be a compressed ready position.
Okay.
And you would be waiting for the next command, which would be the next step we'll take after this, which is presentation, sights, trigger, etc., to perform the course of fire.
Gotcha.
So now let's role play.
Okay.
Let's say you're on the range and you've gotten this far, but the RSO calls a ceasefire. All right, they call a ceasefire. Some ranges require you to take the gun apart and put it down, or clear and bench.
Clear and bench. Okay.
Now, we cannot put down this firearm because it is loaded.
Right.
So I need to take it apart. Okay. What we're going to do now is, first things first, check yourself. Inspect where your trigger finger is. Make sure it is straight. Because if you look down and you see it lingering in the trigger guard, might not be touching the trigger, but if it's lingering, we need to fix it. So check yourself.
Check yourself.
The next thing we're going to do is disassemble the gun or unload the firearm. So we bring our elbow back to that index tip position, palm up. And you'll note that the support hand is already relaxing away, which is good because you can roll right into that basket, push the button, remove the magazine, bench the magazine. Now we have not all of these potential issues to deal with. We only have one unknown, and it's the round in the chamber. So we need to lock the slide back externally, where a magazine would lock it back if it was empty internally. So this little thumb here has a nice job. Its job is going to be to get underneath that slide release and just push it up. Go ahead and push it to hear it tick. Feel it kind of bump? Just ticks a little bit?
Yeah.
It doesn't have far to go.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a ton of force. You're never going to force this through the steel of the frame. So all you've got to know is that you can manipulate it.
Okay.
It's critical that this trigger finger does not try to help as you try to manipulate it, okay? So it's important that that trigger finger stays indexed high and flat, and this thumb moves independent. It does not get any helpers.
Gotcha.
Okay? Now, we're going to reach over the top, C-clamp over.
C-clamp over.
High, elbow, straight wrist. You're going to pull the slide all the way back, hold it back, and then lift up with that thumb, and you will feel the slide set in that little tiny hole. There it is.
There it is.
Now relax and release that hand away. Come body side to you so you don't risk flagging your fingertips. in front of the gun. Always return body side.
Okay.
Now we need to put the gun down. We need to make sure we put the gun down in the same logic as we picked it up. So we're going to push the firearm forward. We're going to roll it palm down.
Palm down.
And then we can lay the gun back down on the bench. Good. Those are the steps.
Wow.
So let's go through it without the editorial.
Okay.
In sequence by command, all right? I'll do it with you.
Okay.
So we've approached the bench. Our gear is set up the way we want it. Our stance looks good. We're going to load and make ready.
Got it.
Straight finger, thumb curls, 3 fingers grip.
3 fingers grip.
Levitate, rotate, anchor to you. Non-firing hand scoops the magazine, orients it in your palm, points, and seats. We're going to look for the slide release, compress the slide release, and then fold into our grip at compressed ready position. Excellent. Nice.
Yeah.
So now let's clear and bench. We've made a decision to stop for whatever reason. We need to disassemble the gun.
Okay.
Elbow returns to hip. Magazine comes out.
Make that basket.
Now we're going to make sure our finger stays indexed high and straight. We're going to prep our thumb underneath the slide release. Grip over the top. Pull all the way back. Lift up into that little notch. Release. Body side. Roll. And bench. Nicely done.
Yay.
That's the mark of a safe and educated trained shooter. Isn't so much in the target that you're seeing in front of you, but in the dexterity, the handling skills with the firearm.
Yes.
We want to see people shooting next to you that handle the gun like that so that you feel safe, and you want to be the person that's handling the gun safely so they have that confidence in you.
Yeah, I would definitely feel safe next to anyone doing it like that.
Slow and methodical. Never
Slow and
feel
methodical.
rushed.
Yes. Yeah, there's no rush. Not at all. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Love it. Thank you.
Ready for the next step?
Oh, yeah.
Now we'll make some noise.
Let's do it. Okay.